Good morning.
Good morning.
It's always a pleasure to be here, but at my age, these days, it's a pleasure to be anywhere. And I plan to keep on doing that too. This has been a very interesting week for me. It's been one of deep sadness and discovery and questioning this power that we're called to use. And so my lesson today, even though it's titled Father Power, it's going to have two parts. So I'm going to address earthly fathers, and then I'm going to address how we can use Heavenly Father, and I'll talk about that later. Don't bristle yet. So there's a story that was told by Leo Biscaglia some time ago, and it's about a teacher who was reading to her students, her third grade students, about a little duck that didn't have a father. And the story does turn out with a nice ending because another little duck took over the other father's place who was absent. But during the reading, there's one little girl who was in a remedial reading class and was slow to catch on, the teacher thought. And so as she finished the story, she was questioning the kids about their recall. You know, what was the duck's name, what happened to the father, and all those kind of things. And then it came time to ask little Nedra. And her question to her was, did the little duck have a father? And Nedra thought for a very long time and finally said, yes. The teacher was baffled because, of course, throughout the story, it told over and over that Nedra the little duck did not have a father. So she read another portion of the story and said the little duck did not have a father. And then she asked Nedra again, did the little duck have a father? And Nedra again paused, and then she again said, yes. So the teacher, once again, read another portion of the story and then asked the question again. And Nedra paused and said finally, teacher, everybody got a father. Everybody's got a father. So that's how I'm going to start that makes me cry. Yes, we all got a father. Sandy said it this morning, we wouldn't be here. So happy Father's Day to all of you fathers. Did you know that studies have found that having a loving and nurturing father is as important to a child's happiness, their well-being, their social, their academic success as having a nurturing, loving mother? I'm sure we all know that and have heard it. Studies also show that the parenting styles between the male and the female, the mother and father, is very different. For example, dads love their children more dangerously. They play rougher, which encourages risk-taking, as well as providing a broader diversity of social experiences. And I remember I had 4 brothers, younger brothers. And it used to drive my mother crazy because when my dad roughhoused with 4 boys, it was like chaos in that place. And then, of course, he didn't have to do it after a while. They just did it with each other because they were males, after all. And that's what they do, roughhouse. Now, change my stuff around here. So, fathers, in addition to roughhousing, also tend to stress rules, justice, fairness, and duty and discipline, which teaches the children consequences for right and wrong. And I remember saying to Mac, when he would come home from a trip or something, and things changed very differently with the 5 children in my house. He would tell them what he wanted, and they would do it immediately. I was like, what are you doing? Why do they do that? They don't behave like that when I'm here by myself, but boy, you come home and it's just, you don't even have to raise your voice. So there you go, difference between male and female. An involved, loving father models respect between the sexes, encourages healthy competition, and according to a study in the 80s, a child whose father goes to church with the child or children develops a faith in a higher power, and as adults, they will seek a spiritual community more likely than not. So, for those of you men who are here and have fathered children, whether they're yours or not, and have done it to the best of your ability, I salute you. It's very important, a very important job for you. And when you know that you're doing it to the best of your ability, there's something that happens for every child. So, would all the fathers in the room please stand, and ladies, let's give them a round of applause and appreciate it. Now, for those of you who didn't stand, I want to tell you that you have father power within you, because we all, ladies and gentlemen alike, have the feminine masculine principle of being. So we're all mother, father, gods in the flesh, if you will. So remember that. Now, there will be those fathers who judge themselves as short on doing such a good job, or may feel the opportunity to be present with their kids was taken from them, maybe through divorce or whatever happened in the circumstance. But I would ask them to remember it's never too late for forgiveness of yourself, and then to make amends for whatever needs to happen if you can. Sometimes you can't. But forgiveness is essential if you fell short in any way, shape, or form. Just as a human being, we have to do that. And I want to remind you that the Course in Miracles states, God has not condemned me, neither do I. Stop condemning the self for your shortcomings, male and female. We just cannot express the spirit of who we are if there is condemnation going on. It's an essential part of this teaching. It's an essential part of being a human. That yes, we make mistakes, but we can't live in the mistake. We have to forgive and then be able to move forward. There's a story about the children at a school who were given the assignment to write about their father, and in one of the essays, the boy wrote this: "My father can climb the highest mountain, swim the biggest ocean, and fly the fastest plane, and fight the fiercest tiger. But most of the time, he just takes out the garbage." So, I'm going to shift now, because that father power that is present within everybody, male and female alike, has to be used in order to take out the garbage of the mind. I think that's the problem that the entire world is having in this moment, is that all human beings have garbage in the mind that allows them to use their free will. God has given us free will to do as we please, but they use it not for good. And so I want to talk about how we can use the power within us to heal the sadness and fear about what is going on in our world and the United States in particular. Last Sunday was such a shocker for me and for, I mean, I don't know why it's been happening everywhere, but it's just the blatant taking cruelty of life just for, well, see, there's the garbage. It really isn't for a good reason. So, as metaphysicians, we're being called to clean out our minds of thoughts regarding violence, the killing of innocent people, terror and aggression, and the destruction. Because there would not be any of those things happening in the world unless every single one of us were contributing to that in some way or another. Now, everybody take a deep breath. Because as I thought about myself throughout this week in relationship to what's going on in the world, I had to ask myself, what have I been contributing? In what ways do I get angry and let it go and think maybe I resolve it, but there's anger in there, or I wouldn't get angry. Do I have resentments? Is there lack and limitation about which confuses me? Do I add to the confusion of the world? These are the things that we get to work with, and they're called the shadow aspect of our being. We all have a shadow that is in the background, and we know as metaphysicians it's at the subjective level. So the other thing that people have been asking is that how could God let this happen? How could a powerful deity, a creative intelligence as we call it, but the people who are asking the question, how could God let this happen, they don't think in the same way that we do. They feel that there's a power outside of ourselves that is a punishing God, and that I heard one, I couldn't believe, the moderator of the television show said that there was a church pastor who was saying that the people who died in the nightclub last Sunday deserved it. And I mean, that kind of thinking is contributing to the terror and the fear and the destruction that's going on in the world. And so how, as we metaphysicians get to work with these ideas that are rampant in the world and that affect us, and sometimes I wanted to address the idea of God, the Father power. There's, as a metaphysician, sometimes we bristle at the idea that God is a father, that it's a protector, guiding us, that there's a plan for each one of us, that we don't have really control. God is the power. And so what I want to tell you, and the only way that I remind myself of what it is that we believe, is to redefine Father. Now, if you think of Father in relationship to God, the masculine aspect of being from the Science of Mind textbook is that it's the directive power. It's that conscious mind that is in touch with the spirit of intelligence that draws from that intelligence, and then we get to direct with our conscious mind how it is that we're going to be in the world. So there's the decision process that happens on a moment-to-moment basis using our conscious mind. But if we're not conscious of the spirit that is directing us, then what we'll do is fall back to just what the appearances are and become afraid. We'll feel lack and limitation. We won't engage. We don't feel connected or unified in the spirit. So, let me take a drink. How do we shift our inner attention so that we can use the power in a constructive way? Well, I have some quotes. This is from Vernon Howard. He says, "Many of us knock on the door but remain outside because knocking and entering are entirely different actions. Knocking is necessary, consisting of reading books, attending meetings, asking questions. But entrance requires much bolder action. It requires one to enter into himself, herself, to uncover hidden motives, to see contradictions, and to realize his actual power for self-change." That's how we work for world peace, is by changing ourselves. And then out of that, those changes that come, we ask the question, what is mine to do? Maybe it's to be an activist. Maybe you were at Bernie Sanders down at the Chico State. And I want to tell you, if you were, the police chief, I went to my chaplain's meeting last Thursday, and he was very proud of the way the people behaved in such a peaceful manner. Excitement, yes. But there was no upset. It was a peaceful gathering. And yet, it's something very different that's happening. So, we have to work on ourselves. We can't change the world unless this is changed in here with whatever it is that we need. It's the onion, the peeling away of the onion. I've been in this teaching for 47 years. I've worked on it, worked on myself, worked on the patterns, and I'm still doing it. I'm still uncovering the hidden splendor that is within, and of course I connect with it. We all connect. We feel the presence. But we have to continue to wake up. Awake, thou that sleepest, and Christ shall give you light. Now, Christ is God in the individual. Christ is the infinite good. Now, here's what Dr. Holmes says. And this is on the chapter, the little blurb, the technique of acquiring faith, and it's on pages 160 and 161. I encourage you to go home and read it if you have a textbook. And if you don't, buy a textbook and start to read it, because I'm telling you, these principles will help you work with the shadow and bring what needs to come out into the light, and let the awareness be a channel for love and healing grace. You're going to hear more about that next week from Scott Wyman. Let the awareness that God infinite good is a channel for love and healing grace. That's what we are. But we don't always direct it in the way that it needs to be. So this is what Dr. Holmes says. One cannot be a good student of the science of mind who is filled with fear and confusion. He must keep himself in a state of equilibrium. Sandy's meditation this morning was perfect. And I loved the way that it went. And I guess it's not recorded, but it should have been. So, he must keep himself in a state of equilibrium, in a state of poise, peace, and confidence, in a state of spiritual understanding. By spiritual understanding is not meant anything strange or unnatural. You don't have to walk around with a halo on your head, but merely that the belief in goodness must be greater than any apparent manifestation of its opposite. Now here's the practice. The belief in goodness must be greater than any apparent manifestation of its opposite. So whatever it is that we find within ourselves, we don't want to get rid of it. We want it to be transformed into love and healing grace. So, however you visualize, image the presence or feel it or what it is that you do to allow yourself to be the presence, then that's what we bring, the feelings of inadequacy, unworthiness, fear, anger, resentments, whatever. We bring that into the presence of what is happening right here and right now as you feel it. So you can image light. I took a 14-week class from Scott Wyman, and we just finished that about a month ago. And I'm telling you, it will change your life if you take this 10-week class that he's offering. We're going to be gone this summer, so I won't be able to participate, but I would be there and make it a 24-week journey for myself, because I learned a new way of working with my shadow and those energies that need to be brought into love and healing grace. So, does that make me bad and wrong because I have that, or you? No. We're human beings. We've had free choice. We haven't been born necessarily with the knowledge and the awareness of our worth and value. And if we didn't have nurturing parents and all that goes with that, there's nothing wrong with our parents. They just did the best that they knew how to do, and most of them fall short. I fell short. I'm sure all of you could say, yeah, me too. But we did what we knew how to do at the moment. And so that's where the forgiveness comes in, and then work with this stuff. Now, I want to share with you Emma Curtis Hopkins, too, what she writes about fearlessness. Seeing land in spite of appearances, seeing the good, the perfect, the true, regardless of what is appearing. So here we have, right in front of us, we're feeling this inadequacy, the unworthiness, or whatever it is, and we're just letting it be in the good, in the presence of this infinite love that's all around us, that is what we are. But you see, we have to shift our awareness to thinking that we have to make it something different. We simply accept it as it is, but the love and the healing grace changes it. It's not us doing it, making it happen. We can't make it happen. We have to let it happen. And we hold it in the light and the love and the grace of God. So then she goes on to say, it is seeing with the eyes of God, past and beyond that which is appearing. This earns us companionship and dwells among us. So, and then she writes, we must teach others to do what we can do. So when we're in our practice and we hear some of this stuff that's going on around us, can we lovingly show them another view? Have them look a different way? Have them see with the eyes of God, if we dare to? Sometimes we don't. We just let it go. But I've determined that when I hear people putting themselves down, talking about God in a way that I don't think is true, according to what I know, I'm going to make some suggestions. I don't have to tell them what to do, but I can say what I believe, offer that to them as another viewpoint. So, it's been said that we must hospice the old and midwife the new. Nice idea? Hospice the old, midwife the new. Now, the definition of hospice is a house of shelter or rest for pilgrims or strangers, especially one kept by a religious order. So, what the phrase hospice the old means to me is to symbolically die to the belief that God has something to do with terror, that we missed out somehow when God was handing out the attributes. We have to come to believe that whatever is within us is the last gasp of a dying consciousness of fear and ignorance and humanity. What's going on in the world is the new order, if you will. It's the aspect of the human consciousness coming into something new and better. But it's all the chaos that seems to be going on that makes us think it's not for good. So this is our job. We need to be able to view what's going on in the world as something new and better is coming out of it. The phoenix rises out of the ashes, if you will. So, to midwife the new would mean that an idea is being born, that we are actually giving birth to a new kind of being, of living in peace in the world. So if we practice knowing that our work is first within ourselves, that the life of God is pure intelligence and pure love, it's always available to us, that God, the Father, the directive power, is our guide and our source. It's right where we are, and we know how to find it. But we have to know that. So, I have a letting go practice. So when we're doing our work, we have to ask for help. We have to open to the light. I want to give Scott Wyman credit for this because it's an exercise that he had us do for 1 week. I've been using it ever since. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And then we focus in on anything that is not love and light, and then use a mantra or an affirmation or do a treatment into that energy. And then you can say, I love you to all the energies that delight and gratify you, as well as those that confuse and confound you or upset you. So, to feelings of unworthiness, I say, I love you. How does that feel? Different, right? But that's what we need to do. We need to embrace the shadow part of ourselves instead of pushing away, trying to get rid of it. And then looking with love. Becoming looking as love. And then let the focus of this awareness be the channel for love and healing grace. That's a sentence he asked us to memorize. Let the awareness be a channel. Let this awareness of God is the only power there is in our lives. Let that be a channel for the love and healing grace to help us in working on ourselves so that we can be channels in the world for love and healing grace. And then, so here's the 5-step protocol that he asks us to work with difficult experiences. The first one is to watch it. When it comes up, when something uncomfortable comes up, watch it. Don't do anything to it, just watch it. See what it does. What does it tell you? How does it feel? And then there you are, you feel it. Maybe you feel the pain of unworthiness. It's not fun. I've done that one and still do it on occasion. It hurts to really feel like you're not worthy to be in the world. And then you breathe with it. Just breathe into it. And you know what breath does? It lets you feel it even more. If you hold your breath, it contracts. Breathe with it. We want to embody that in awareness. And then love it. Love the feeling. And then let it go. Then let it go. So you see what you've done is instead of resisting it, you've loved it. And then you let it go, and it's easy because it's really like nothing. It's so unlike our divine nature. There's nothing in our divine nature that is unworthy or incapable or unloving. That's who we are and what we are in truth. So, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, go use the power within you to heal those things that are not of God within you. And then watch the world change with us and for us and through us. So, God bless you on your journey.